A man who has stabbed a 6-year-old boy to death in the forehead while the child was sleeping has been released from prison after just 8 years. And now the father has a warning that if he ever comes face to face with the killer, he will kill the killer. The Kentucky man, his name is Ronald Exantis. He was arrested back in 2015 after breaking into the home of Logan Tipton, a 6-year-old boy. Exantis, who was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity, but convicted on assault charges, was freed on October 1st after earning credit for good behavior and education. I guess that's you get out of prison early for education.
When you learn murder doesn't matter, it just people look past it because like, wait, you're trying to better yourself. Get out of here, you little rascal, you little murdering rascal.
Yeah, we know he killed a 6-year-old by stabbing him viciously in the head, but he figured out geometry. Yes. And therefore we'll let him out.
Don't give this guy so much credit, Rob. You know for a fact he did not figure out geometry. Whatever it was this guy learned, it was nothing as advanced as math.
Robin, I heard about the story, but as you're going along, I'm finding it more and more unbelievable that he served 8 years. They said that he's crazy. And now because he's learning math or whatever the hell it is, he gets to leave. So now there's a psychopath murderer who's educated that's just out in the street right now.
Well, don't be so outraged. He will be under parole supervision until June of next year.
Oh, then I'm back. Then I'm fine with that.
So this is the young man that was brutally murdered, stabbed in the head. How many times? Repeatedly stabbed him in the head with a kitchen knife as a child slept. So the guy, Exantis, broke into the Tiptons' home in the middle of the night and stabbed Logan repeatedly in the head with a kitchen knife as the child slept. When questioned by officers as to why he did it, Exantis told them that he had seen a sign for a Gray Street and it reminded him of the medical TV show Grey's Anatomy. He then told police that at the time he believed he needed to reenact surgery inside the Tipton's home and that the street name made him think of knives for surgery. He then proceeded to stab the boy in the head until the child passed away from his injuries. Logan's parents involved, I believe that the sisters of Logan were also injured in the stabbing, as was the father. The father described being thrown across the room while trying to stop the attacker, who was a complete stranger to the family. So imagine this. You're just minding your own business, living in your own home, sleeping, and some animal, at this point, that's what we can call that, an animal, breaks into the home and savagely butchers your child to death by stabbing them in the head repeatedly with a knife, and then the guy only faces 8 years in prison. Meanwhile, the family will live with the death of this child for the rest of their lives. This guy gets out of jail for 8 years in prison and then 1 year of supervised parole. That means he can't smoke weed and leave the county. So really a lot of punishment.
Rob, like, I'm being dead serious. This is unbelievable, meaning I don't care if he's crazy or whatever in 8 years. And when you're saying he's under parole supervision, that doesn't mean the person is with him, living with him, Connor. That means this person you just have to check in with your parole officer. Now, my question is, if this guy, this crazy guy, because he's freaking crazy, does this again, what happens? Does the system get in trouble? No. Who's going to be at fault? When this guy does this again, if he does it again, who's going to be?
Nobody. No one will be held accountable because this keeps happening. We have guys like this. When Rob, you listed off the charges, he wasn't even found guilty of murder. He was acquitted on the murder charge by reason of insanity and then convicted on assault. So he's too stupid to be held accountable for murder, but just stupid enough to where he can be tried for assault. It doesn't make any sense. So we keep seeing this over and over again, where retarded subhumans like this guy keep violently attacking, murdering, raping, abducting people, and then they just get a slap on the wrist, get locked up in a hospital for a few years to eat pudding, and then they're put back out on the street to do it again. We have a law and justice system that this isn't happening because it's a blind spot. They're not doing it by accident. This is the point. They are releasing these people, like throwing open the cage at a zoo enclosure to let the animals out to terrorize the people going. This is the point. This is what they want to happen, and so they keep doing it.
And but okay, Connor, and I get what you're saying. How is it that somebody like this, and where was this?
This was in Kentucky. The town is Versailles.
Versailles.
Wow, that
Now-
butchered that.
now here's my-
just like this animal butchered that
Yes.
poor child and should be in jail for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
No, he should not be in jail for the rest of his life. I don't want to pay for this guy to survive.
Yeah, that's-
I want to pay for as much as it costs to execute him.
Well,
A bullet, a rope,
is
a
that
knife, whatever.
legal in the state of Kentucky?
Well,
Do
Michael,
they have the
penalty.
death? Yes.
They do have the death penalty.
Well, here's
the
my-
last time they applied it was 2008, and this reminds me of have you guys ever heard that mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent?
Yeah.
And this was going on here, and this gets political, Vinny. All right, there's a whole relationship between mental health or like the cleaning up of mental health and the left. Is this a Soros DA?
I don't know exactly who the DA was,
Huh.
but I have the images of the parole board officials responsible for this, and all of these people
Oh, that's
are
just
responsible
old
for the
white
decision.
guilt right there. They just I'm so guilty for being old and white and presumably rich because you're on the parole board, so you must
But
make some kind of coin.
What makes me mad is what are we talking about? I mean, the most clean cut thing that anyone could judge is murder. So, like,
He did it.
The guy was caught at the scene when the father managed to detain him there
how,
And
until
that's
police got
crazy.
there.
how doesn't he get charged with murder? Like, I don't
Because
understand.
he is so stupid, because he is so low IQ and so out of his mind and so retarded that he cannot be charged
then
with
you have manslaughter,
but that is the whole
right?
point. That
Or
is the
child
problem.
slaughter.
That's the problem with our criminal justice system, that it views retardation as a mitigating factor rather than an aggravating one. Like, oh, you're so insane you can't rationally be in control of your actions. Oh, you poor baby, let's take care of you. Not, oh, you're insane, you can't be held accountable for your actions. All the more reason to kill you quickly. Like, people like this should not be allowed to exist once they do this.
If this happened in a different state, would the outcome have been different, or is this just across the board? He
this
says
is
he's
pretty-
crazy, but like, because Connor, I could play crazy in a moment like that. You can act. Oh, I saw this, and just act freaking crazy. By the way, and they say that they bring them into a front of a. Go ahead, Rob.
I hate to be. Can we go back to a photo of the suspect? Now, this is going to sound incredibly insensitive, but when I think of the show Grey's Anatomy, I often think of middle-aged white housewife, not violent criminal that breaks into a home and stabs a child into the head multiple times. So to your point, I'll just make up anything. I saw a street Grey.
Yeah.
There was a TV show that a girl who I probably robbed at one point, some
Yeah.
poor little white woman. Now I'm sounding even more racist, but okay.
No.
She watched Grey's Anatomy as I stabbed her to death too.
Like, bro, and you're making a good, like, a very, very valid point. I think people are missing the point. A 6-year-old child is sleeping, and you get stabbed, and the charge isn't even manslaughter in your insanity. And bro,
That's it.
by the way, he said a year, Rob. This guy's gonna be off of parole. That's how. What? I don't understand. If you're labeled
8 months.
insane
Yeah.
after 8 months, what does it just go away? That doesn't make any sense, bro.
That's
What
the
a
thing.
what a
What are
horrible
we
si-
doing? Not
Yeah,
even
no, that's
manslaughter. What are we doing?
how is this not like
and it's probably because they do have the death penalty there, and they don't want to charge. You know, like that. They don't want to. They don't want the smoke. That I think that's
no,
what
but
it
that's
is.
but Alberto, this guy, he's listen. In 8 months, he's gonna be back on the street with no supervision. Who's to say he goes by another street
Vinny,
and it doesn't say Michael
Vinny,
Myers
Vinny,
Avenue and he starts stabbing people?
The guy that stabbed the Ukrainian lady.
Yeah, he had 33. He was arrested 30 sometimes.
30 some times
Yeah.
and put back on the street. Same type of guy.
This keeps happening. There was the story a few months ago of the guy who was an insane, drug-addled guy who's found not guilty of trying to sexually assault a child at a school playground because he was too
I
stupid to be
remember
held
that.
accountable. So he was diverted. That's what you always hear, the diversion programs.
course.
They never want people to go to jail. They want them to go to treatment centers, which, like in the case of DeCarlos Brown Jr., who stabbed Irina Zarutska on the train just last month, he was diverted to a program that was partially owned by the judge responsible for the diversion.
Exactly.
So it is a corrupt system that specifically exists to not punish the guilty and use them to terrorize the innocent. So, no, I don't want this guy to go to jail for the rest of his life. I want the rest of his life to be 24 hours, as long as it takes to find a place to kill him and bury him in an unmarked grave.
Well, the father doesn't disagree with you. I believe we have a clip of the dad here. Here is Dean Tipton. He is the father of 6-year-old Logan Tipton, who was brutally murdered inside of their Kentucky home by the gentleman that you saw on the screen just a few minutes ago, Ronald Exantis. Here is Dean Tipton issuing a warning to Ronald if the two ever met in person.
He stood up with me on top of him, just stood up and threw me 10, 15 feet across the room and went after her.
Dean Tipton says December 7th, 2015 is a night that changed his life. He says his children woke him up. He then found a man attacking his children.
And when I got to the top of the stairs, he attacked me. He come at me with the knife.
The night took a tragic turn with the loss of a life, his 6-year-old son, Logan. Dean says immediately after Logan's death, he lost his will to live.
I laid in bed. I gave up. I gave up on life. I gave up on my family. I gave up on everybody. I just wanted to die.
In the years since, the family has done their best to cope, but mentions they are mentally and emotionally scarred. And they are hurt that Ronald Exantis will no longer be behind bars.
Everybody deserves a fighting chance to have justice for them, and it's not.
I've had my talks with God because I'm not afraid to tell you all. I told the court, if I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him where he stands.
Would any of you, if that gentleman, again, his name is Dean Tipton, if you were on the jury and Dean Tipton ends up killing Ronald Exantis, would anyone here find him guilty of doing so?
Never.
Do you guys watch a video of the guy shooting?
The pedophile, when they're walking through the police
Yeah.
station by the phone booths. One of the greatest videos of all time. That is what should happen to every single person who harms a child, is that you should be removed from our system.
What's it like? Oh no, Ronald, don't.
Yeah, Ronald Jones. It's like too late, bro.
Yeah, but you know what? It shouldn't be up to Dean Tipton to have to avenge
all.
his family.
Not at all.
It should be up to the system that he lives under, the system that he presumably pays taxes in, that he goes to work in every single day. That's why we have this system in place. And you know what? If the system will fail, then that's a grieving father. He shouldn't have to handle that business. There should be other people who are willing to do that for him.
And when he's done, guess what? And if God forbid he does see him and he kills him, all the father has to do is say, hey, listen, whatever street we're on, I'm going to come up with some crazy cockamamie story. I'm crazy. And then he'll get the same. He'll do what? He'll do a couple of years.
I saw a sign that said, I'm on kill the retard who murdered my son street.
Yeah,
And
Avenue.
that triggered
Vinny,
me.
I guarantee you, if the father does something, he's gonna get more time than this guy.
1,000. What do you mean? They'll give him the chair.
I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, they'll give him the chair.
I guarantee you.
Because guess what? If the guy's he's going to leave the state. That's where he's from. The murderer is from that state.
He's doing part of it in Florida, actually, part of that parole supervision, because he wasn't from Kentucky. He was just driving through Kentucky, pulled off on the side of the road, and found a place to go stab somebody.
Is there anything useful we can do? Is there a legal fund? I will put a little money towards this.
Unfortunately, there's not a execute Ronald Exantis fund
he's saying
that's
with
out
the
there,
family?
but
Yeah,
I,
for the family.
I haven't seen anything about
they
how to
might
support
be
the
able to
family.
Fight the case. I don't know. Like, is there anything?
Well,
people can
To
do?
Vinny's
Yeah.
question earlier, when it comes to the money, Gordy Shaw was the district attorney of the county that this case took place in back in 2015. I ran it through Grok AI to see if there were any connections to George Soros. Grok AI says Soros has invested over $50 million since 2015 to support reform-minded district attorneys in about 30 states. However, Kentucky is not one of them.
Shocking. So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.